so in this video I'm going to show you the basic structure of an HTML. Now this is how an HTML is. You have the doc type, the HTML, then you have the header tag, and then you have the body, and then so here I'm going to show you what we mean by tag, attribute, and element. Everything that we do in HTML, like we said, is a basic structure of a web page. So take for example, we want a page that, let's say, a card that shows my profile. Okay, so I have image, my name under the image, and other details there. So what do? In that case, I will have to wrap it around a divider. So this is what we call a divider. So inside this divider is where I'm going to have image, I'm going to have title, which is my name. And so let's go with the first one, which is image. So we can say that we want an image tag. So inside this image tag, we need to declare the source where our image is going to come from. So we can do something like this, then slash, or we can follow the name or where we are getting our image from. Then we can now close the image. Now remember that the image tag is self-closing. So a self-closing tag is like this, while the one that is not self-closing, it will start like this and what will close this way. So now we have an image tag and we have an attribute, a source attribute. Okay, then what else do we need? Let's say my name. So since I need my name to be, this is an ID card, so I can title it. So I will need to have a header. So I'll do H1. So inside this H1, I'll now say my digital card. Okay, I can call it my digital. The H1 is another tag. Okay, so we have different tags depending on what you want to do. We have H1, H2, H3 down to H6, which are for header tags. For titles. Okay, they are header titles, so that you can give to your element. To your element. Or we have H1 down to H6. We have image tag here. We can have another tag which can be this time a paragraph tag, because we want to describe me. Who am I? So I can say software engineer. Okay, so let's just leave it like this. Okay, so you have an image tag, you have H1 tag, and then you have the paragraph tag. Now let's say I want to add my LinkedIn link here. So how do I do it? I need to call the anchor tag. This is the anchor tag. Then I'll call the href attribute. Now inside this href attribute, I'll now say linkedin.com. I'll now put in my LinkedIn here, https://.com, and like that. The source here is an attribute. The href here is also, and this is what we call a tag. And there are different tags when you are dealing with HTML. So all of this inside this, all of them together is what we call an element. They are what we call an element. So let me close it here. LinkedIn here. All of them together is what we refer to as what? Element. So this is a tag, this is a tag, this is an attribute, this is another attribute, and then all of them are wrapped inside a div. Okay, the last thing I will show you is the class and ID. So you can give it a class name. So if I give it a class name, now I can say digital ID. Okay, I can say digital dash ID. So with this digital ID, I can now use it to style this particular file that we have here. So I can give each of them, I can arrange them, image to the right, image to the left, or the H1 to the left or right. So I can use the class here to target them. Then individually, I can also give them their own class. I can give it the class of image. I can say img, so I can target it using the class name. So let me do it like this. You cannot guess whether you style an HTML element. You either style by class, you style by tag. When you do this, you are already styling. So everything you do with this class name image affect only the image. The same way, if we come here now and I give it another class name and I say H1 or header, or I say title, let me just say title, let me call it title. With this title class name, I can now target this thing and style it, give it the color that I want, and a basic structure of an HTML look like tag and then an attribute. Now, having understand this, let me show you how to use the web developer tools to inspect a website. So like I said, we are going to use the real Python fake job site. When you want to use the developer tool, tools, you right click, okay, and when you right click, you scroll down, you will see inspect here. So you click on inspect. You can now see that as I'm clicking out, you can now see each of them. So this is the website build HTML. So it's a basic HTML site. So it has a section with a class name section. It has a container that contains all the jobs. That's a H1, which is for the title of the job. Then you have a container. So this container is what contains all the jobs that you can see on the site here. Okay, like you can see them here. All right, so this is what we mean. This is how to inspect a website. So you can check for classes, you can check for their classes, for the ID. Okay, take for example here, I think here should have an ID. All right, okay, yes. So it has to use an ID here. So the ID is what you use to target your element in order to make it interact. You can see that all of them are carrying the same class name. And when we open it for that, let's keep opening this first one, and then you see what I'm saying. As we keep opening it, you start from here. There's a container, there's a result container, okay, and then there's another container that hold each of the job, okay, and then there is a card. So each job is in a card with their card class. So it has image, it has image container, and then you can see as I'm hovering on it, you can see the element that you are seeing. So it has image here, and then you can also see the media content, the title, senior Python developer role, then subtitle, it's telling you the company that is hiring, and then you can also see the address of the job, okay, and then you can also see the date of the job. All right, so this is how, and you can see the date time is also an attribute, okay, so you can use the date time to specify dates there. So this is how a basic HTML is, and how you can use developer tools. You can go further and further to get to see whatever you want to see here. So if you want to use it to know the image size and the ratio, whatever, you can just go to the image that is holding that image, and then you can see what we are doing here. Okay, so this is how to use developer tools to inspect a site. Now, having understand this, the next thing we are going to do is we are going to scrape this site using requests. Okay, so let's look at how that is possible. All right, we're going to use this site, we're going to scrape it. So I've already have a demo.py here. It's a file where we are going to work. All right, so then what I'll need now is to create a virtual environment. A virtual environment is an environment that is separated from all of your work. Okay, so which means that any other thing you are doing in your virtual environment is separated from every other file. All right, so I'm not sure if I should delete it, but let me delete it. All right, so I'll delete this. Okay, now that is deleted, now let's create a virtual environment. I am using Windows. Whether you are using Mac OS or Linux, the command is the same. So it's the same. So Python flag m venv, then the name of my virtual environment. So I'll just call it VNV. Okay. All right. So when I hit enter, the virtual environment should be created. So all right. So the virtual environment has been created. All right, and it's asking me if I want to use it. Yes, I want to use it for this workspace. So let's allow it to index. Okay, so now that we now have our virtual environment created, now let's activate our virtual environment. I am using Windows. If you are on Linux, remember you have to use source followed by the virtual environment name, then you can also slash activate, right? Alright, but here I'm using Windows, so I'll do env. Okay, I'll use venv